Did you know that, alongside its luxury fashion giants, France also operates one of Europe's largest agricultural systems, generating more than $96 billion in revenue each year? After a difficult 2024 marked by extreme weather and falling output, French agriculture regained momentum in 2025 as grain and wine production recovered. But behind that rebound is a system facing unprecedented pressure. So how have French farmers managed to revive the entire sector? And how are they coping with rising energy, fertilizer, and labor costs, along with increasingly severe extreme weather across Europe? Today, Agriculture Insight takes a closer look at French agriculture, where large-scale production must constantly adapt to strict standards in order to maintain its role as a pillar of the entire European Union. Let's get started. If there is one French agricultural product that stands above every standard, it is champagne grapes. The only grapes with the privilege to create authentic champagne, the luxury sparkling wine with more than 300 million bottles opened around the world each year. And the key point is this: champagne is not just a type of wine, it is a place. Only bottles produced in the Champagne region of northeastern France are allowed to carry this name under one of the strictest protected designation systems in the world. Here, the cold climate, chalky soils, and more than 34,000 hectares of vineyards must all follow extremely strict rules. This cold climate helps the grapes retain high acidity, the factor that creates champagne's sharp, fresh, and distinctive sensation in every sip. The three core grape varieties that define the entire industry are Chardonnay, which brings elegance, Pinot Noir, which adds depth, and Pinot Meunier, which helps balance the finish. To protect quality, 100% of the grapes must be harvested by hand in whole clusters. Growers have to cut each cluster manually and keep it intact during transport, because even a slightly crushed skin can release red pigments that may affect an entire batch of wine. But the biggest difference between champagne and ordinary wine lies in the fermentation process. At first, it has no bubbles at all. Only during the second fermentation inside a sealed bottle, when sugar and yeast produce trapped CO2, do millions of tiny bubbles form, creating champagne's signature sparkling texture that cannot be easily replicated. For champagne blended from base wines of different years, the wine must be aged for at least 15 months. For vintage champagne, meaning champagne made only from grapes of one especially good harvest, the aging period lasts at least 3 years. One reason why in the United States, champagne is often around twice as expensive as mainstream Cabernet Sauvignon and up to 3 times more expensive than Chardonnay. In southern France, there is a melon once praised as a delicacy reserved for the Pope, and to this day it remains a symbol of Provence's summer, the Cavaillon melon. This variety is grown in a region with over 300 days of sunshine per year, under very specific conditions: intense daytime heat, cool nights, and mineral-rich soil. The strong day-night temperature difference, sometimes reaching up to 15 degrees Celsius, allows the fruit to accumulate high natural sugar levels while maintaining a gentle sweetness, along with a distinct aroma that is noticeable even before the fruit is cut open. The entire harvesting process is still done entirely by hand. Before picking, growers carefully observe the skin's web-like pattern, the slight loosening of the stem, and even rely on scent to determine the exact moment of ripeness, the peak point of flavor development. They then use specialized clippers to cut the stem rather than pulling it by hand, preserving the internal structure and maintaining the fruit's natural juiciness. Immediately after harvesting, the melons are transported to processing facilities within hours, where they are cleaned and sorted on site to minimize storage time. Due to their regional specialty status and limited shelf life during long-distance transport, most Cavaillon melons are consumed domestically in France. Each fruit weighs only around 800 grams to 1.2 kilograms, but its sugar content can reach nearly 15 degrees Brix, delivering a richer sweetness and a far more pronounced aroma compared to cantaloupe melons, which are typically milder and less complex in flavor. Few people realize that France is one of the world's largest producers of sugar beets, regularly competing with Germany and Russia in the race to supply sugar to Europe, a region that relies very little on sugarcane. Across vast fields in the north, France produces around 30 to 35 million tons of sugar beets each year, creating a strategic raw material base for the entire continent. Unlike sugarcane, which can be harvested almost year-round, sugar beets have only one harvest season. In autumn, the entire industry enters an intense peak period lasting less than 100 days. Massive combine harvesters operate simultaneously. They cut off the leaves, use vibrating steel lifters to pull the roots from the ground, then run them along conveyor belts for cleaning, before transferring them directly into parallel moving storage units. Thanks to optimized hybrid varieties with a sugar content of around 16%, meaning nearly 1/5 of the root is pure sugar, yields can reach up to 70 tons per hectare, effectively turning each field into a true sugar mine in temperate conditions. But what truly sets France apart is not just its output, but how it extracts value from every part of the crop within a fully integrated system. After harvesting, the beets are transported almost immediately to processing plants for sugar extraction. The refined product goes into the food industry, the pulp is pressed and dried for animal feed, and molasses, the portion that can no longer crystallize, is fermented into bioethanol, a renewable fuel. As a result, almost nothing goes to waste. France is now one of Europe's leading bioethanol producers, where gasoline blended with ethanol made from sugar beet alcohol is widely commercialized alongside traditional fossil fuels. From an agricultural crop once covered in mud, the French have created a biofuel that helps reduce dependence on oil, not only supporting more stable combustion in gasoline engines thanks to its high octane rating, but also helping cut a portion of carbon emissions compared with conventional petroleum fuels. And now, let's move to the historic region of Burgundy, where the mild climate, vast grasslands, mineral-rich soil, and long summers allow grass to grow almost continuously throughout the year. These conditions have turned the region into the capital of Charolais cattle, the iconic beef breed of French livestock farming, and one of the highest meat-yielding cattle breeds in Europe. What makes Charolais special is their remarkable ability to convert feed into muscle with extremely high efficiency. Their diet is relatively simple: nutrient-rich fresh grass, hay, and high-protein legumes, followed by silage corn and grains during the final stage to accelerate growth. But behind that simplicity lies a highly precise nutritional management system designed to maximize lean muscle development rather than fat accumulation. An adult Charolais bull can weigh up to 1.6 tons, roughly the weight of a luxury SUV. Even more impressive, Charolais calves can gain around 1.2 to 1.6 kilograms per day, placing them among the fastest-growing breeds in the commercial beef industry. That means they can reach slaughter weight in just 15 to 18 months, significantly faster than many traditional cattle breeds and dramatically shortening the beef production cycle. This is also why Charolais beef is often positioned in the upper mid-range to premium segment across Europe. While it is not as expensive as top-grade Wagyu, livestock producers value Charolais highly for its exceptional economic efficiency. Their dressing percentage can reach around 70%, meaning nearly 2/3 of the animal's body weight becomes usable meat, one of the highest ratios in the global beef industry. This biological structure produces a very distinctive type of beef: lean, low in intramuscular fat, yet still capable of remaining tender when prepared properly. A key reason why Charolais beef fits so naturally into French cuisine, where chefs often use minimal seasoning to preserve the meat's original character. In southwestern France, geese are far more than just ordinary poultry. They are the center of a food empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars each year, and the origin of one of the most controversial delicacies on earth, foie gras. The most common breed raised here is the Landaise goose, typically farmed under a semi-free-range system. During the day, The birds roam across grasslands to develop muscle and natural fat before being supplemented with corn, a feed considered the backbone of poultry farming because it is rich in starch, high in energy, and especially effective for fat accumulation. But the greatest value of geese does not lie in their meat. It lies in their livers. In the wild, geese migrate thousands of kilometers to escape winter and search for food, so their bodies naturally store large amounts of fat in the liver as a kind of fuel tank for long-distance flights. The French have taken advantage of this biological mechanism to create foie gras, a delicacy associated with European aristocracy for centuries. However, the most controversial part of the process is gavage, the final fattening stage. During the last 2 to 3 weeks before slaughter, the geese are fed large quantities of starch-rich corn mixture through a feeding tube. As a result, a liver that would normally weigh far less can expand to around 600 to 900 grams, roughly 7 to 10 times its natural size. Beyond its unusual size, foie gras contains nearly 80% fat, creating an almost buttery texture while still remaining intensely flavorful and melting almost instantly on the tongue. Even so, this force-feeding method has long faced strong criticism from animal welfare organizations which view it as an artificially induced fatty liver condition that causes suffering to the birds. On the other hand, many French farmers argue that they are simply replicating a natural fat storage ability already present in migratory birds, while also emphasizing that a goose's esophagus is far more flexible than that of mammals. This debate has lasted for decades and has led many countries to ban foie gras production entirely. Despite the controversy, France has maintained a dominant position, at one point accounting for around 70% of global foie gras production. But surprisingly, most fatty liver products on the market today actually come from moulard ducks rather than geese. The reason is highly practical. Ducks grow faster, their livers develop more consistently, production costs are lower, and they are better suited to industrial-scale farming. As a result, true goose foie gras has been pushed into a more premium niche, rarer, more expensive, and highly valued by food connoisseurs for its cleaner and more delicate aftertaste compared to duck foie gras. So, would you be willing to spend hundreds of dollars just to taste a slice of foie gras instead of ordinary beef or pork liver? In neighboring Germany, collecting many species of snails is considered illegal. But in France, people are still allowed to harvest snails starting in early July, helping supply more than 20,000 tons of escargot consumed each year, enough to transform a garden pest into one of the signature dishes of French cuisine. France's mild climate, high humidity, and relatively gentle summers are especially well suited for Helix aspersa maxima, a fast-growing, adaptable snail species widely raised in semi-natural farming systems. Since each mature snail weighs only around 15 grams, many farms in Burgundy must raise anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000 snails per season to achieve commercial-scale production. Instead of being kept in enclosed barns like cattle or pigs, snails are raised inside cool, humid, netted enclosures equipped with misting systems that operate almost continuously. Inside, farmers place multi-layered wooden panels for the snails to cling to, shelter under, and grow on. Their diet includes brassica plants, ground grains, mineral supplements, calcium, and especially nettles, a mineral-rich plant that helps strengthen shell development. This is particularly important because the shell functions almost like an external skeleton, forming the main protective structure of the snail's body. However, behind this seemingly low-resource system lies an extremely delicate process. Snails are highly sensitive to temperature, humidity, fungal diseases, and environmental stress. If conditions become too dry, they can enter hibernation-like dormancy for weeks instead of growing. On the other hand, excessive rain or humidity can also lead to mass die-offs caused by fungal infections or suffocation from excess moisture. After harvesting, the snails are fasted for several days to completely cleanse their digestive systems before processing. They are then boiled, removed from their shells, cleaned of mucus, and cooked with butter, garlic, and parsley. Arguably the most classic escargot recipe you will encounter. A starter portion is typically sold for around $15 to $25 at French restaurants in the United States. Many people hesitate to try this dish because they expect a slimy texture. But high-quality escargot is actually thoroughly cleaned, with a tender, slightly chewy texture and a mild flavor that's somewhat similar to mushrooms or clams. Every day, a massive flow of goods moves quietly across the US-Mexico border, turning this 3,100-kilometer stretch into one of the busiest trade corridors on the planet. Mexico has overtaken China to become the United States' largest trading partner, with agricultural products serving as the backbone of the food supply chain. Out of every 100 tomatoes on American dining tables, nearly half carry the mark of Mexico. With import values reaching around $2.5 billion, Mexican tomatoes account for about 31% of all tomatoes entering the U.S. market, a figure that reflects a near-total dependence. Behind this dominance lies more than 60,000 hectares of greenhouses, operating like modern, biological complexes, where agriculture is no longer left to the mercy of weather. In the state of Sinaloa, hydroponic technology allows precise control over every variable, from light and temperature to nutrients, turning plant growth into a fully programmable system. These tomatoes are not harvested when fully ripe, but at the exact moment they begin to change color, the optimal balance between firmness and shelf life. They then pass through optical sensor-based sorting lines, where each fruit is carefully screened to achieve near-perfect uniformity, before continuing its journey thousands of kilometers into the heart of America's food supply chain. Continuing the chain of strategic agricultural products, Mexican avocados dominate up to 90% of the U.S. market, holding a near-monopoly position in a billion-dollar import supply chain. The heart of this system lies in the state of Michoacán, the only region in the world capable of harvesting avocados year-round, thanks to its layered elevations that stagger ripening seasons across orchards. In Mexico, avocados are so valuable that they have become targets for criminal cartels, with protection fees ranging from 10 to 15 cents per pound of produce. Yet beyond domestic security pressures, every avocado must undergo an exceptionally strict industrial processing system to meet the standards set by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Once qualified, each fruit passes through optical sensor systems designed to detect even the smallest imperfections on its delicate skin, a critical requirement to activate the entire cross-border cold chain. From this point, only avocados that reach approximately 21% dry matter content and show no signs of spreading dark bruises are allowed to proceed. Any deviation is immediately eliminated from the export chain. Beyond greenhouse produce, 90% of Mexico's exported watermelons have a single destination, the U.S. market. With over 1.2 billion pounds shipped annually, this volume may account for only about one-third of Mexico's domestic production. Yet it plays a critical balancing role when southern U.S. states halt production due to frost. In Sonora and Chihuahua, regions defined by hot semi-desert climates with average temperatures around 25 degrees Celsius, massive watermelon fields enter peak harvest right in the middle of winter. The entire harvesting process is carried out manually, largely by migrant laborers from southern states who travel thousands of kilometers north for wages averaging just $2 to $4 per hour. From there, all harvested watermelons are cleaned using low-pressure spray systems, then labeled for traceability before being stacked onto large pallets. Crucially, by leveraging low labor costs and continuous harvesting cycles, Mexican watermelons are often priced up to 15% lower than those grown in Florida or Georgia during peak season. Every year, it travels thousands of kilometers by rail before pouring into the U.S. market. Across the vast prairie region, spanning nearly 50 million hectares, mineral-rich soils combined with low humidity during the grain-filling stage allow wheat to accumulate protein with remarkable consistency. On these immense fields, massive combine harvesters equipped with cutting headers over 10 meters wide operate like automated production lines, ensuring uniform raw material quality right from harvest while minimizing grain damage. Yet the true advantage of Canadian wheat lies not in sheer volume, but in the precise control of its biological variables. Hard red spring wheat consistently maintains a protein content of 13 to 15%, a critical threshold that directly determines dough elasticity, gas retention, and stability in industrial processing. This is why the United States, despite being one of the world's leading wheat powers, with around 45 million tons produced annually, still relies on Canadian wheat imports for blending, creating flour with consistent quality for millions of loaves of bread, pizzas, and baked goods every day. The supply chain extends all the way to the Southern Hemisphere. Each year, the United States imports around 70,000 to 80,000 tons of lamb, with more than half coming from New Zealand, over 12,000 kilometers away. With a flock of roughly 25 million sheep, about 5 times its population, New Zealand operates a low-density yet highly efficient grazing system across tens of millions of hectares of natural pasture. Thanks to its stable temperate climate, sheep are raised entirely on grass year-round, requiring little to no industrial feed, a cost factor that can account for up to 70% of production expenses in the U.S. This also eliminates the need for intensive housing systems, significantly reducing input costs while maintaining consistent meat quality. Compared to Australia, which focuses on higher volumes with older sheep that produce stronger flavors, nearly 80% of New Zealand lamb exported to the US comes from animals under 12 months old. The result is a milder taste, less gamey flavor, and a more tender texture, making it particularly well-suited to American consumer preferences, especially in restaurants and premium retail chains. Beyond lamb, few people realize that New Zealand's most valuable export is actually Manuka honey, a rare variety produced from the native Manuka flower, which blooms for only about 6 weeks each year and can be priced 20 to 100 times higher than regular honey. To harvest the purest honey, producers use helicopters to transport beehives deep into isolated, steep valleys where virtually no other plant species exist. This ensures the bees feed exclusively on Manuka flowers, producing honey with exceptionally high levels of methylglyoxal, the key compound responsible for its powerful antibacterial properties, unmatched by any other type of honey. There is, however, a striking reality. New Zealand produces only around 1,700 tons of Manuka honey annually, yet as much as 10,000 tons labeled Manuka are sold worldwide. As a result, any batch exported to the U.S. must undergo rigorous DNA testing and chemical analysis to verify the exact origin of the hives and the timing of harvest. Each year, the United States imports roughly 1,500 tons, a relatively small share compared to the global supply. Yet it remains the most premium-paying market, where prices can reach $100 to $500 per kilogram. At that level, Manuka honey is valued not merely as a sweetener, but as a highly stable, natural antibacterial product. As the world's largest market for processed meat consumption, the United States imports tens of thousands of tons of premium cured meats from Italy each year, where agricultural products are not just food, but heritage protected by law. Within the roughly 40,000 tons of cured meats entering this market, Capicola consistently sits at the top of the premium segment. Thanks to artisanal techniques deeply tied to local conditions in regions such as Calabria and Piacenza. After being cured with sea salt and native herbs, the pork is not processed by machines, but left to time itself. During the air drying process, natural enzymes break down proteins, creating a tender texture and complex flavors that industrial curing systems struggle to replicate. This level of craftsmanship pushes the price of DOP-certified Capicolo to around $100 per kilogram, roughly 4 times higher than mass-produced domestic cold cuts, driven by the cumulative costs of strict EU origin protection systems and rigorous USDA import standards for uncooked cured meats. Continuing Italy's legacy of culinary heritage, olive oil remains one of the most widely consumed products in the United States. Yet domestic production in California meets only about 3% of demand. This gap forces the U.S. to spend over $1 billion annually on imports from Italy, turning olive oil from a simple kitchen staple into a direct financial variable on the menus of thousands of restaurants. However, the label, "Made in Italy," does not fully reflect the origin of the raw materials. Much of the olives are actually grown across millions of hectares in Spain. After harvest, the oil is transported to Italy, where facilities handle refining, blending, and quality control under strict standards to ensure consistent flavor across seasons. As a result, olive oil carries significantly higher production costs than other vegetable oils such as canola or soybean oil, and, leveraging Italian branding, can be sold at prices up to 20% higher than the same raw material when exported. Notably, prolonged droughts in Europe have reduced yields and pushed olive prices to their highest levels in over 30 years. In response, olive oil prices in the U.S. nearly doubled within just 2 years, highlighting how sensitive this market is to climate shifts occurring thousands of kilometers away. Leaving behind the farmlands of Europe and the Americas, the center of U.S. imports is now pivoting eastward, toward Asia, where the region commands over 90% of seafood and processed food supplies, with trade values exceeding $30 billion annually. In just 3 decades, the United States has become the world's largest shrimp importer, leading the absorption of Asia's industrial shrimp farming boom. Around 90% of shrimp consumed in the U.S. is imported, with white-leg shrimp, a species that reaches market size in just 90 to 120 days, allowing for high-density farming with stable survival rates, far surpassing lobster, crab, and most domestic seafood to become the dominant supply. Driven by intensive farming across hundreds of thousands of hectares, combined with low labor costs and on-site processing and freezing systems, India has pushed shrimp prices down to just $4 to $6 per kilogram, nearly half the cost of wild-caught shrimp from the Gulf of Mexico. This price gap is enough to reshape the entire economic equation. For restaurant chains and retailers, imported shrimp is not only cheaper, but also offers consistent, large-scale supply, something wild fisheries struggle to maintain. However, this dominance has been disrupted by some of the strictest legal barriers in the industry's history. Shrimp imports from India, particularly under anti-dumping investigations, have at times faced total tariffs approaching 60%, among the highest ever recorded. Although these have since been reduced to around 18% following trade agreements, uncertainty continues to loom over the supply chain, forcing distributors to diversify sourcing and rethink pricing strategies. Facing even harsher tariffs than India is China, the United States' direct counterpart in one of the most intense trade conflicts today. Since early 2025, Washington has imposed an additional 10% tariff on Chinese agricultural products, quickly doubling it in response to retaliatory measures from Beijing. Yet despite these political barriers, Chinese garlic continues to dominate the U.S. market, backed by a production system that is virtually unmatched. In key regions such as Shandong, with its sandy clay soils and ideal temperate climate, the growing cycle extends to 8 to 9 months, allowing garlic bulbs to develop larger sizes, firmer cloves, and remarkable uniformity. More importantly, production costs are about 60% lower than in California, where labor, irrigation, and environmental compliance costs continue to rise. To ensure a clean, white final product, harvested garlic is sent to large-scale processing facilities, where thousands of workers peel it by hand, supported by hot air drying systems to stabilize moisture levels. The result is uniformly white, low-impurity garlic that can be stored for months in refrigerated containers and shipped across the Pacific, a key advantage that allows China to maintain its edge even under rising tariffs. All of the most remarkable agricultural achievements begin with seeds. And in the Netherlands, more than 200 breeding companies have transformed the country into the world's leading hub of seed technology. Here, seeds are not developed for mass production, but are engineered as a core technical component specifically for smart greenhouses. They possess inherent disease resistance and respond precisely to every milligram of nutrients in a controlled cultivation environment. If the United States has Silicon Valley for software, then the Netherlands has Seed Valley, a hub that brings together more than 40 seed corporations, closely connected with Wageningen University and the government, enabling new plant varieties to move from the laboratory to global production in just a few years. You may be astonished to learn that 1 kilogram of specialized tomato seeds here can cost up to 50,000 USDs, as expensive as pure gold. This extraordinary price reflects billions of dollars invested in genetic research, allowing crops to achieve maximum yields while maintaining strong resilience without the need for chemical plant protection products. With this capability, the Netherlands now controls 25% of the global vegetable export value and 60% of the global seed potato market. From the United States to China, many of the world's leading agricultural systems are directly dependent on plant varieties originating from this low-lying land. Alongside seeds worth billions of dollars, another revolution in cultivation environments was pioneered, standardized, and spread worldwide by the Netherlands: rockwool growing media. At first glance, they appear to be nothing more than soft, lifeless foam blocks. But rockwool is in fact a complete replacement for the role of soil, a survival breakthrough for countries where arable land is always a luxury. The foundation of this technology comes from basalt rock and ores melted at 2700 degrees Fahrenheit. From this glowing stream of molten material, the lava is spun centrifugally into ultra-fine mineral fibers and compressed into solid blocks. Thanks to its volcanic mineral origin, its superiority lies in its chemical inertness and absolute sterility, creating an almost perfectly clean biological growing medium that completely eliminates pathogens and prevents the nutrient losses commonly seen in traditional soil-based cultivation. Complete separation from soil gives Dutch engineers ultimate control. They precisely program nutrient concentrations and pH levels down to the milligram, delivering them directly to the root system without any interference or loss caused by impurities or unwanted absorption. From there, rockwool's fiber structure creates an ideal paradox for plants. It can retain water many times its own weight while still maintaining ultra-fine air pockets. This ensures roots are constantly supplied with maximum oxygen, completely eliminating the risk of waterlogging and common root diseases. Today, this technology covers more than 80% of greenhouse area in the Netherlands. Each growing block is a critical node in a closed-loop circulation system, directly connected to a central computer. The result is astonishing efficiency, up to 90% water savings and 40% fertilizer savings. And it doesn't stop there. All excess water is collected, sterilized, and reused, turning greenhouses into a sustainable production cycle that achieves the highest yields on the planet. When the Netherlands is mentioned, the whole world immediately thinks of vibrant tulip fields. But on the agricultural map, this is not a center for commercial flower production. It is home to the world's largest tulip bulb production facilities, supplying up to 2.5 billion bulbs globally each year. These bulbs form the foundation of the entire global flower supply chain, especially for massive markets such as the United States. However, to maintain this record-breaking position, Dutch farmers must carry out a decisive process, completely removing the flowers at their peak bloom. A tulip bulb requires 5 to 7 years of care before it is able to bloom. But the moment the petals reach peak color maturity, specialized flower removal machines are deployed immediately to redirect the plant's nutrient flow. Designed with rotating shafts integrated with rubber paddles and cutting blades, the core mechanism of these machines focuses force on the plant's weakest point, just beneath the flower head. As the machine moves forward, the high-speed rotating shaft snaps or cleanly cuts off the flower head without damaging the leaves or stem. Removing the flower head immediately halts seed formation and energy consumption at the top of the plant. This forces all sugars and minerals produced through photosynthesis to be redirected downward, concentrating nourishment into the bulb. By summer, when the leaves have withered, about 2 months after the flowers are removed, the true industrial harvesting process begins. Steel cutting systems lift the entire soil layer at a depth of around 20 centimeters, feeding it onto vibrating conveyor belts that sift and separate the bulbs on site, processing hectares of land each day. The breakthrough lies in crop protection. Despite being industrial machinery, all conveyors are lined with rubber padding and use high-pressure air-blowing systems to protect the thin, sensitive outer skin. This airflow not only removes dirt and fine sand, but also ensures the bulbs are not scratched, crucial for preventing bacterial infiltration during export. As a result, Dutch tulip bulbs grow to 10 to 12 centimeters in size, the gold standard for replanting in the world's most demanding markets. But make no mistake, beyond its empire of bulb production in open fields, the Netherlands still maintains a leading position in professional cut flower production within high-tech greenhouses. After being harvested by automated conveyor systems, millions of flower stems are consolidated and transported to Royal Flora Holland, the largest flower auction in the world. Transportation operates continuously via electric carts moving through an extensive system of sorting warehouses. Each day, this exchange offers up to 20,000 different types of flowers and ornamental plants. For tulips alone, prices fluctuate by the second and by season, but are typically successfully auctioned at an average range of US$0.22 to €0.55 per stem. While other countries require several days for transshipment, the Dutch reverse auction model delivers absolute price transparency and extremely fast capital turnover. Although the Netherlands is not the world's largest consumer market for fresh flowers, it functions as the brain that regulates global supply, allowing tulip shipments leaving the auction floor to land in the United States or Japan within just 24 hours after a deal is closed. With only 1.5 million cows, just 1/6 the scale of California, the Netherlands still amazes the world with record-breaking productivity. More than 9,000 kilograms of milk per cow per year. Each cow is a data node within a farm-wide IoT network. Through smart chips, the system can analyze and predict health risks up to 48 hours before clinical symptoms appear. This level of precision eliminates nearly all random variables, turning farms into an ideally optimized ecosystem. But in the Netherlands, technology doesn't exist only on charts. It takes physical form through tireless field operating machines, Lely robots. In reality, the number of farms in the Netherlands is declining by nearly 3% each year due to environmental pressure and a lack of successors, yet herd sizes continue to grow. Faced with this challenge, an automation revolution became inevitable. And at its center is the Lely Vector robot. Its crane system uses sensors to locate and precisely grasp roughage with a deviation of less than 2%. Immediately afterward, automated pipelines inject exact amounts of concentrated feed, which are mixed by an auger into a uniform blend, ensuring cows absorb nutrients completely and eliminating selective feeding. After mixing, the robot autonomously navigates through the farm to distribute feed. Its smartest feature lies in the ultrasonic sensors. The system measures the height of leftover feed and dispenses more only when necessary, ensuring troughs remain full while maintaining freshness 24/7. Notably, a single system consumes only about 20 kilowatt-hours per day to care for hundreds of cows. This quiet operation, with extremely low energy use, not only replaces human labor, but also creates a perfectly calm environment, key to keeping cows relaxed, maximizing oxytocin release, and sustaining peak milk productivity. To maintain high productivity, every cow needs a continuous energy intake. However, cows tend to use their noses to push feed sideways and out of reach, causing feed to scatter and go to waste. Lely Juno is designed to solve this problem. The robot operates as an automated system that moves along feed alleys 24/7, gathering and pushing feed back toward the fence. Keeping feed constantly within reach not only minimizes waste, but also stimulates cows' natural feeding behavior. Real-world results show that Lely Juno increases dry matter intake by 3%, equivalent to nearly 1 additional kilogram of milk per cow per day, simply by optimizing how feed is delivered. In the past, milking was the most exhausting burden for farmers. They had to wake up at 4 to 5 a.m., manually operating equipment for hundreds of cows on a forced schedule. This process not only drained human energy, but also placed significant stress on the herd. The Lely astronaut robot completely changed the game with a voluntary principle. Cows independently choose to be milked whenever they want, averaging 2.5 to 3 times per day. As soon as a cow enters position, the system scans its smart tag to retrieve health records and dispenses the exact amount of concentrated feed tailored to that individual. Notably, the robot is capable of real-time quality control. Sensors continuously analyze parameters ranging from electrical conductivity and fat content to somatic cell counts. At the slightest sign of mastitis or any indicator falling outside standards, a diversion valve immediately redirects the compromised milk into a separate tank without any human intervention. At the end of the process, the milking cups automatically detach and retract to a standby position, never touching the floor to ensure hygiene. The milk that meets standards then flows directly through a rapid cooling system to below 4 degrees Celsius before entering the main refrigerated storage tank. This entire journey takes place in a closed system, preventing any contact with air or bacteria. Beyond boosting milk yield by an additional 15%, this robot redefines livestock farming as a smart production line where humans manage data while cows are free to live according to their natural biological rhythms. Today, high-tech greenhouses can be found almost everywhere, but the density and scale in the Netherlands remain in a class of their own. Here, more than 9,000 greenhouses with a total area of up to 10,000 hectares are not crude plastic structures like those in Spain, but complexes of tempered glass operated by combined heat and power systems. By using natural gas to generate electricity for LED lighting arrays, then recovering waste heat for heating, these systems maintain a stable growth cycle 24/7, producing light so intense it can be clearly detected by satellites at night. There is an intriguing paradox. While the world struggles with emissions, Dutch farmers actually purchase industrial CO2 as fertilizer. Through a massive national pipeline network, excess CO2 is transported directly from refineries at the port of Rotterdam straight to the roots of plants inside greenhouses. After being injected through ultrafine piping systems, This CO2 allows plants to photosynthesize at extreme levels, accelerating growth cycles and increasing yields by up to 30% without expanding cultivated land. The pinnacle of this optimization is tomatoes, the #1 crop in Dutch greenhouses, with total production nearing 1 million tons per year. Despite the modest land area, export value still reaches $2 billion USD, making the country the world's second largest tomato exporter. Their strength lies in ultra-intensive cultivation. A single tomato plant can be harvested continuously for up to 11 months, thanks to hanging systems over 10 meters high and root systems neatly contained in inert growing media. This creates a stable, year-round production cycle, something that outdoor agricultural systems in Southern Europe or North America simply cannot sustain. Spanning an area comparable to Texas, Ukraine's agriculture does not rely on small, family-run farms. Instead, the entire system is organized as a network of agro-holdings, where land, machinery, and data are managed like a large-scale industrial production line. This model is rooted in the convergence of flat terrain and a continental steppe climate. Ukraine's hot, dry summers create ideal conditions for crops to naturally reach low moisture levels right in the field, a factor that can be harsh for many plants, but is perfect for grain production. Across vast fields stretching for tens of kilometers without interruption, high-capacity combine harvesters, reaching up to 600 horsepower, operate continuously like a massive mechanical assembly line. With cutting headers over 12 meters wide, these machines process dozens of crop rows in a single pass, handling thousands of tons of grain per day. Meanwhile, trucks move alongside them, collecting grain in real time without interrupting operations. To sustain this level of efficiency, the entire system is monitored through sensors and real-time yield mapping, allowing instant adjustments across different field zones and keeping losses below 1%. As a result, Ukraine produces around 20 to 25 million tons of wheat each year, maintaining its role as one of the most important breadbaskets for Europe and the Middle East. At the same time, corn, a crop capable of generating nearly twice the biomass, reaches output levels of over 30 million tons, becoming a strategic feed source for the global livestock industry. This is especially critical for China, which at one point relied on Ukraine for more than 80% of its imported corn to sustain its massive pork sector. However, the true strength of this system lies not only in production, but in its ability to control post-harvest flows. All grain is funneled into a vast network of silos, with a total capacity exceeding 55 million tons, functioning as a stabilizing buffer for the global food market. Thanks to this, Ukraine is not forced to sell immediately after harvest. Instead, it can store grain for 12 to 18 months and release supply precisely when market demand peaks. A critical advantage that allows the country not only to produce food, but also to directly influence global prices and supply dynamics. While in the United States, grain, despite being produced at massive scale, is often treated as a base input for downstream industries. In Ukraine, this flow becomes the lifeblood of a billion-dollar sector: poultry farming. With an annual output of over 1.4 million tons of chicken meat, this Eastern European nation has emerged as a key protein supplier to the EU. Despite being nearly 15 times smaller than the US, Ukraine has secured its position as the world's sixth largest poultry exporter. The process begins with designing a precise feeding program tailored to each stage of a chicken's growth. Leveraging its status as the world's leading sunflower oil producer, Ukrainian farms incorporate high-protein sunflower meal and pure vegetable oil into feed formulations. This combination contributes to the chicken's naturally mild sweetness, golden skin, and deep-colored egg yolks, thanks to the high concentration of unsaturated fatty acids. Through optimized feed and fast-growing hybrid breeds, chickens reach their ideal market weight in just 38 to 42 days, with an exceptionally low feed conversion ratio, a level of efficiency that even many industrial farms in Iowa or Arkansas struggle to match.